All right. Good evening, everybody. This is the Town of Fairfield Conservation Commission for September 18th, 2024. Chairman Lucas Thomas, that's me. Commissioner Peter Hood, Commissioner Kato Mahoney, Commissioner Ted Luxinger, and Commissioner Dan Saunders are here. I will appoint Commissioner Ted Luxinger and Dan Saunders as alternates. Moving on to three, that's, but
As alternate. You mean to say voting?
as they're alternates as voting members. Thank you for clarifying that. You are alternate members. Now you're going to be full members with voting privilege tonight. Approval of the draft meeting minutes of the Conservation Commission meeting of August 21, 2024. Do any commissioners have any corrections, comments, or issues? Nope. Can I get a motion to approve that? Commissioner Luxinger and Commissioner Saunders second. All in favor? Aye. All right. Oh, and also I just noticed, I'd also point out that our director, Tim, is online. So he's here and Tom is here somewhere. I'm sure he'll be right back. Rule 4, new business. Discussion on Youth Conservation Award nominees by Commission Subcommittee. That would be you guys, right?
You want me to do it? You want to do it?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's see what, I'll do what you forgot.
As you see in the packet, the applications, we have 2 applications in, unless we've gotten some more in. Our deadline is the 30th.
Okay.
We pushed out through the selectman's office and through education and through Mill River and different organizations. So we're hoping to get some more, but I think we're happy that we have at least 2.
It's hard to get started.
And I will say, you know, like anybody who's ever done anything, you're gonna get the applications on the 30th. So we really won't know until the midnight on the 30th, or, you know.
One thing we were trying to do is we thought, shut it down quickly this year so that we could maybe reorient next year quickly and look for Earth Day as we wanted to figure out some way to tie it to some sort of event that would be, and arguably we'd like to see someday winners, not
Right.
a single. So it's totally open and flexible. It morph any way we want.
And yeah, and Sarah put it out on Moms of Fairfield. I said, we'd really kind of like to capture, we've got 2 high schoolers, one freshman in college, kind of get that younger cohort, which we're not really capturing right now. So maybe we'll, you know,
Maybe categories next year.
that's what we're saying. So like going forward, you know,
Basically, what we have to do is we have to go with what we have now.
now,
It doesn't matter, we're not looking for one, we could have 2, I would prefer to see a 6-year-old and this, I don't think that's gonna happen maybe right away,
It'll
but
take
I
time.
think it's gonna, I think it'll grow.
It's a good start.
I think it's a good start, and
we need the picture of the first selectman, Tim,
Yeah.
and the thing, and the search, and all what we're gonna do, Rick had some cute ideas about a tree and some good stuff, he's good at this.
And I think
So are
we're,
you.
yeah, and we're gonna, we're thinking, we're talking to Tim that maybe we could put a plaque in that new education building with, you know, the winner's name on, you know, to kind of tie it all together. So I think that, you know, it'll grow but I think we're off to a good start.
Excellent, and we can even, 'cause my concern has always been, I don't see the college student next to this really wanting to, so we even have the same logo in a different color, we can do it for the kid with some different text that isn't all adult, and it's gonna be so easy to morph it.
Right, and I think that if going forward, if we get different, we were saying it's gonna be hard to, like, the kid that got a $1,500 grant against a 6-year-old,
Right.
so it'll be nice to have different categories.
What are the implications if I happen to know one of the nominees? Do I recuse myself from any kind
I
of?
know one of the nominees too. I think that we're good.
Okay,
I'm
Curious.
so far happily ignorant of all this, so.
Maintain that.
Yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem, you know me.
Are we allowed to nominate people?
Yes,
And,
And please do.
yeah, right. And I'll
One of my
point out
volunteers.
that our vice chair Dabney Bowen is here as well for the record. Okay, all right, anything further, Pete? Yeah, thank you.
It's good.
Good. So,
Rick is very happy, so that's what's important.
I think it's a good thing.
excellent.
It's right.
We're just gonna get it going.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think,
It'll evolve.
right, absolutely.
Wonderful.
We have applications.
That's a good start. All right. Moving on to new business number 2, discussion on creating department informational / public outreach video specifically related to open space encroachments and inland wetlands violations. Tim, did you want to discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, I could just capture the idea, similar to other town departments like Parks and Rec have done in the past, created a video with quality contractor, I'll call it, or vendor. Just thinking and I did sit with one I have some experience with doing Parks and Rec's video that hasn't launched yet, but like I said, just to try and create some type of content, whether it's a minute and a half or 2 minutes, I'm talking about the importance of our natural resources and the impacts people's either intentional or innocent encroachments or wetlands violations cause, and how they affect the town and their neighbors. So it was just a thought that I wanted to bring up to the commission to get their everyone's kind of opinion or a pulse on this type of undertaking, and whether they think that would be an effective tool and kind of a public outreach outside of the flyer that Nicole had worked on, which came out very well. But I'm just wondering if a video would, if distributed properly, would be more effective or as effective.
I think it's a great idea.
Something similar to the Know Before You Dig campaign, to check with utilities before you dig in your yard.
Yeah, along those lines is, my message that I'm always trying to push is call us first. But, kind of an educational piece, as well as share the message that the department is, I guess, not so new anymore, but much newer than the old regime, where things were different and less willing to work with people to get things accomplished. So, that's where the public outreach message would come in on my end. But cost wise, I mean, we'd be looking at from $500 to $7,500 probably, using this one vendor who again is in town. He works with fire department and other agencies and departments. Last year was nominated for 2 Emmys, so he's not this isn't a YouTube video guy. So just a thought.
The police have one. As I recall, last year, didn't the police do one?
He did the police video. Yep.
That was pretty slick and good.
But I think the education part would be so important that people understand, like, there's a reason why this agency is doing all of this, and that the citizens of Fairfield are benefiting from this. So I think that would be great.
And I think it's just something digital can be shared nowadays, and I think reach more people than the flyer will. Between everyone's either personal or other methods and avenues of sharing. I know Ted's on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. Other than the department homepage in the First Selectman's newsletter, I think just distribution wise, it's going to hopefully touch more people to spread the message.
Moving pictures always work.
Yeah. I like it.
I like it.
All right. yeah, thanks, Tim. Appreciate that, and we'll talk about it
Thank
even more. Thank you.
Yeah, nothing that has to happen right now. We could start the process. We'll want to capture some content probably in the fall and maybe in the spring and look to release something early next year.
Okay. Further comments or?
I think it's a good thing.
Well, I think Tim's department is much more approachable.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the word I would use, and
Yeah.
I just think you build on that, it's a great idea.
Yeah, and I have an anecdote about that because I met with a contractor recently and I happened to mention I was on the Conservation Commission and he said, "Oh, you're one of those mean people." I thought that was a very strange thing to say, but it sort of fits in with this, maybe the history of the department and how we need to get out and, you know, tell people that we're really here to help them.
Right, like that we are here,
You know,
yeah, I agree.
so there is a perception out there that that's not what we do. And we need to change that.
This will go a long way towards that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Again, thanks, Tim. Thanks, commissioners. Moving on to Roman numeral 5, old business, 2190 Post Road, public access and conservation easement agreement. This is the.
Yeah, the reason why this is here, there was a few, you've seen this before, I believe at the last meeting. This is a second draft with just some language changing specifically in in number 4. It removed the words fishing and crabbing and put in some other language that basically accomplishes the same thing. Not sure if Attorney Piers is in the audience, but he might be able to shed some more professional light on the changes, but you've seen this before, and my only purpose on putting it on the agenda was so the commission was aware that there was a revision and you know, some minor changes were made.
Right, so Attorney Piers is here, he's the town council. Thank you for being here. Is there anything you'd like us to know about it? I mean, I'm assuming you're going back and forth.
Yeah, there's been a lot of versions of it. I'm not sure which is the one that you saw. I've seen all of them. There was a question about any of it. And the most recent change, as Tim said, was fishing and crabbing was removed from, where it was actually modified so that the town and the commission have the option in the future to expand public use to include fishing and crabbing.
Okay.
So it's potentially available in the future, but not something that would be.
I have a question on the exclusion for launching boats. I don't know what the background is on that, but someone who loves to kayak, it seems like it might be a good way to get people out onto the Mill River. So I'm wondering what the thought process was behind excluding that use.
I think the property owner was concerned about liability. I mean, it's pretty steep there because of the bulkhead. I've not been out to the site recently, but my understanding is, Tim knows better than me, but I think it's pretty steep, so. Yeah, I think it's probably not a good spot to launch a boat.
There's really no place, I mean, you would have to create a ramp. Really,
Well, I'm just wondering if maybe the town wants to include that as a use that we could possibly authorize in the future with some changes, if we decided to make some changes to the site.
I'm not sure we would be able to, we're getting an easement, we're not the owner of this.
Well, I know, but we've put in here that, you know, fishing and crabbing might be something that we would authorize in the future. So why couldn't we include launching boats? or even more specifically, a type of boat, if you wanted to say that. I mean, it's not something we would do now, but it would give us an option in the future, whereas if we specifically exclude it now, then we won't have that option.
The property owner is not willing to grant the town that right, so it'd be
Okay.
a discussion for the future. And I think the town doesn't really have an interest in putting in a boat ramp or anything like that right now either.
That would be the other, I would think, again, for the record, I'm an attorney, I do some real estate as well, just so it's clear. Your easement, the two parties negotiate what they can or can't do there.
Right.
But now, if you're gonna say to the owner, you gotta build a boat ramp there, he might not wanna do that. So-
Well, I'm not saying that they would have to build it. I mean, I would assume the town would build it.
It seems like what they're looking for is more passive things.
Yeah.
So like, I
Yeah.
think this is, my understanding is that what the homeowner is willing to allow as passive access to this area.
And that's also, I think, what the conservation department wants. They want
Yes.
it to be more of a conservation space than like a pocket park, really.
Yeah, see floating devices and all that, they just,
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask a rhetorical question? Would it be possible to include in this easement, since there's a property abutting a waterway, something relative to the lighting that would be built out in the abutting property, as well as the design of the abutting property glass to make sure it's bird strike friendly, so that there are no chances of impacting birds and night pollinators?
Tim, Ted, I really applaud your efforts. And that's going almost, for me, because this is an easement, it's not, so what an easement would do is give us some rights. And then the owner that owns the property, he's got rights on his own. We're not forcing anything on them. They're giving us rights to do things there. And that's at a certain level. I think in this particular situation, that might be more of a zoning thing. Like if the
Okay.
zoning wanted to do that, that would be more appropriate. And feel free to reach out to
That's
them.
why it was rhetorical,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure whether it was appropriate or not,
But I'm also not sure that lighting is even contemplated for this area because it's supposed to close at 7 PM or dusk.
Then I'd like the
Easement, so,
lights in the parking lot to go out.
well, the lights in the park, oh, you're talking about on the abutting
Yeah,
property?
that's-
Yeah.
That's also right, so, I mean, the chair is right, that's all governed by zone.
Okay, that's fine.
But I don't want to discourage you. I know that's your,
That's hard to do.
I know.
That's good.
Feel free to go to the zoning and say, I really want, or participate in that.
You
And
send an email, I mean, express yourself to zoning.
Yep. Okay, I'm sorry. Any further questions or comments
Yeah,
about this?
I had another question in that same paragraph. I'm just a little confused. Are they allowed to build either now or in the future in the easement area? It sort of implies that they are. Section 4, about 2/3 of the way down. It's talking about maintenance. And it says something about the owners shall install or construct in the easement area, so it's implying that there might be something that they would build in that area.
So they're not, I mean, the only things that they're building are gonna be what's contained in their planning and zoning approval. In Paragraph 3, we actually made the entire parcel subject to a conservation easement. So they can't construct buildings without the approval of the commission, this commission. So they're gonna have their zoning approval. It'll be a condition of their zoning approval to have whatever they have there. If there's something in the future, they probably would need zoning sign off depending on what it is, and then they definitely would need sign off from this commission.
So we've had this in the past, Commissioner, where when there's a conservation easement, anything that's done in there comes before us, so that's a way.
So, but you're saying their entire property? What is,
No, the easement area.
The-
So
Okay.
this is a portion of the larger site.
right?
On this portion of the larger site, the town has an easement. It's an easement for public use and it's a conservation easement.
Okay.
So they're not gonna be able to, after they have their zoning approval, they're not gonna be able to change what they're doing there without, and what is most likely zoning approval or approval from this commission for sure.
Okay.
I like the way the offensive activity is defined right in it, that's awesome,
That's great, right?
you know,
Well,
that's
that's
just great.
council,
Yeah.
do their thing, you know, that's great.
It's nice to see it in there at the beginning.
Anything further? Nope, okay. Moving on to room numeral 6, open space and land acquisition, it's one continued 816 and 798 Sturgis Road. The acquisition was final on September 3rd, 2024. I think we all know that now, and some of you may have already gone to see it. So again, great job, and thanks, Tim. I know Tom, I know mentioned earlier, they were there today, cleaning and doing maintenance outside and all that.
We picked up all the trash from the backyard. We cut all the grass, hedge trimmed, weed whacked, blew it all off. It looks pretty sharp now. You could actually see it from the road. It's a totally different,
That's
Do you
great.
need any volunteers?
not at this time.
All right, because I've got access to some old guys with rakes that are happy to.
No, not at this point.
Okay.
That's our job.
I'm one of them.
It's exciting.
Of course it is. And would you like to add anything extra, or I know we spoke about it last time as well.
Yeah, it was just a formality. All the commissioners are aware that that we closed on the property, and maintenance is ongoing outside, and I'll be forming some an internal group to schedule and work through the outfitting and upgrades, as well as an external group, like I mentioned before, of kind of a think tank group, which I've already begun collecting names. Last week I met with Fairfield Prep and Fairfield U. So I'm assembling that team right now. So other than that, we're pushing forward. Oh, always great to keep this thing moving.
Thanks, Tim, appreciate it. Good job. Moving on to building communications, there's nothing there. And then now we're getting into Roman 8, legal enforcement actions, number 1, 680 Old Academy Road, encroachment / damages in conservation easement. Hello.
My name's Amy Suchins. I'm an attorney at Hurwitz, Sager and Slosberg and Alpha office at 135 Broad Street. My colleague Sarah Sharp, who's been handling this application, had a conflict this evening, so I'm here hopefully in her capable replacement. But what is before you tonight is the request under the conservation easement to authorize the specific activities, specifically the ongoing long-term removal of the invasive species and the proposed mitigation planting plan. I understand that you're sitting here tonight as the Conservation Commission. There'll be obviously a additional discussion when you meet as the Wetlands Agency with respect to some of those issues. So again, I think the request before you tonight is pretty straightforward. Now that the farming exemption declaratory petition has been withdrawn, just to conduct that invasive species removal and the mitigation, all of which is authorized under the terms of the easement for natural resource enhancement purposes or other purposes. So Bill Kenny's here if there are any questions, but again.
I'll start with the commissioners then. Commissioners, any questions?
I have a quick question about the violation. So the initial clearing there was a violation involved in that clearing. So with the mitigation, is this going to be a restoration? Like, so what?
Yes, so I think we get sort of right into that question of conservation versus wetlands.
Right.
So yeah, so the plan, there is a restoration plan that's part of the application package. I think the discussion and kind of merits of that plan is ultimately for when you sit as the wetlands agency. Certainly understand that sometimes it's get hard to
Yeah, it's
put the
hard.
different hats on.
Yeah,
But so if there are questions about the plan or whatever else, but this is specifically, you know, for us to be able to do work under the conservation easement, we need your authorization sort of in the unless otherwise approved context. And then I think the merits of whether that remediation plan is sufficient to resolve the wetlands violation will be at the next meeting.
Right. So,
That's fine.
so.
right.
Tim, are you okay with this? Have you heard what was just said by council?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you. That's, I think that answers a lot of questions, for me and as well as the commission. We did receive those materials from council. They will be part of the next agency meeting. I'll have any discussion or questions with the applicant. I know there was some question related to whether a modification is applicable here. So the department will make that determination and speak with the council's applicant's council.
Right. I mean, the way I'm looking at it is, all we're doing tonight is agreeing that they can do some sort of work in the conservation area, in the easement. And that's it. And then in the inland wetlands, weeks from now, when we have that hat on, it'll be all detailed on what it is, and we still have the ability to like it or not like it. Okay? Right.
Correct. And also part of their request involves invasive species management plan with an easement, which from what I have been provided is adequate, and I support that as
That's
your
always
agent.
right, and even here, we've done this all these years. It's like, oh, great, an opportunity to clean out invasive. So I mean, I don't think I'm not opposed to that. So I think that'll be something that'll be.
And I think that's one of the things sort of specifically our client is concerned about, is being able to manage the invasives, because if you're gonna put in a remediation plan, you don't want it to be overwhelmed by the invasives. So to the extent that, you know, it's clear that the easement will authorize, you know, and your action authorizes the removal of the invasives, and the eventual plan that satisfies what we need under the easement.
That's great, counsel. Mr. Kenny, did you want to say anything, or I'm okay with just this, so I think you're gonna be up next time, much more. Commissioners, anything further?
No, I think
It's great.
No? Okay.
Proactive, nice.
So, any motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second, motion approved by Commissioner Bowen, second by Luxinger. All in favor to allow work in a conservation easement at 680 Old Academy Road? Yes. All in favor? Aye, yes, that's all around. Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
counsel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're moving on to Roman 2, 120 Wakeman Lane. And this is discussion related to the conservation easement there as well. Anybody here for that? Either, sorry, is it, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I can.
Sure.
Good evening, William Morris from Ivy Barnum and O'Mara. I'm here on behalf of Jay Norwood, the owner of 120 Wakeman. Just wanted to note my appearance for the record. I am just for now here just as an observer. Just listening to what's said here, and if I need to comment, I will do so, and that's why I'm here.
Great.
Okay, so let me do this. Tim, has there been any communication with anybody about what's going on at 120 Wakeman Lane?
Yes, I did meet with the applicant's professionals from Land Tech last Friday. We did, I'm sorry, not last Friday, yesterday, sorry. We were supposed to meet last Friday. Yesterday, for a short time, we reviewed some plans and the discussion really centered around tonight's meeting and the questions and management of the easement. We had the discussion that part of the easement does incorporate the pool and a portion of the house, since it was from the 70s. We did review some aerial photos, which I provided the commission today, that came from the applicant's counsel that's with you tonight. And I did have a discussion with our town attorney as it relates to all of that. So that's kind of where we stand. And I again, made the request to Attorney Pierce to appear before you tonight to answer any questions following the our last discussion on this wetlands application, but also as the commission.
Okay. Again, I'll start. Was there counsel, is your client's position that this easement is invalid in some way?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's the proper forum at this time to get into the merits of my client's position.
Okay.
This matter, as you know, is tied up in litigation. There's also a pending application with the commission. So I don't know if I can really give you a position on that.
That's fine. Okay. I'll tell you my position is.
Sure.
I again, for this attorney, I do some real estate, and there's a dominant estate and a Servian estate. And whether it's from the 1800s, 1900s, 1960, if there's an easement there and it runs with the land, it's gonna run with the land. If somebody has overburdened that easement, okay, it happens. In the past, this agency, this may not have been as open to going in. We have a director now that he'll drive by, going to see something else and see something else and does something about it, doesn't just ignore it. So it may have been in the past where somebody may have built the house, not your client, because she bought it a couple of years back. So somebody else may have built the house in the easement area and may have built a pool in the easement area. That just because that occurred doesn't mean it's okay. There's not much we can do about it now. But the rest of the easement area is, for lack of a better word, fair game. It's still the subservient state to our easement, to the conservation department's easement. So I just wanted to put that out on the record for what's going on here. For me personally, I'll let commissioners, if they want to add anything.
Well, I think the reason we're talking about this is because Mr. Carey said he felt that it was an unenforceable.
Okay, well, Mr. Carey is not the attorney. That's kind of why I started
But I
with
do think
counsel.
that led to a little bit of a
Okay, well,
rise in temperature.
well, then we'll leave it there. Let the temperatures back down. I made my position clear. We are in court and you'll do what you have to do for your client when the time comes.
Right.
And of course, we have our town council here for that as well. Would you like to add anything?
No, I mean, I think in my discussions with the applicant's counsel, I don't think that they're contending at this point that the easement is not enforceable. I think
Okay.
their argument about what they're required to do based on what the easement says.
All right.
Just know, to the extent necessary, preservation of our rights, we would just object respectfully to any implication that anything is being done wrong by our client with respect to the easement. But as we noted, subject to a litigation still proceeding, so we'll reserve rights and just respectfully object.
Okay. That's noted for the record. This this here just for a discussion? Are we holding it off, Tim? I mean,
It was just for a discussion. I was under the impression there was some commissioners that wanted to have the discussion as it related to statements made before the agency related to the easement. So
okay, then we just had that discussion.
that was the reason for my request to council. So
Okay, then it's fine. So it is for commissioners' purposes again. It's in court, they have counsel, we have counsel, and we'll when something more appropriate is in front of us, we'll deal with it then. Yeah. Okay? Okay, thank you, sir.
I thank you all for your time.
Open Rule 9, staff reports from the Conservation Department. Is that you, Tim, or is that Tom?
Yeah, I guess just in general, Tom could shed some light as well from the field, but we have been in maintenance and mowing mode on trails and open space, dealing with a lot of trees, you know, some encroachment issues, and you know, again, doing some upgrades coming to the open space adjacent on Sturgis Road. Again, dealing with a lot of washout from the road into that smaller parking area, which we'll be upgrading shortly. Our tree contractor is coming to the education facility on Monday to drop a lot of the dead ash that are standing that could damage the house if they ever came down, which no one wants. So those will be coming down Monday. But yeah, in general, pushing forward, Tom could, if he has anything, but that's all I have.
Well, we've been down a guy, so we had a guy for a couple weeks. Other than that, we've been mowing, cutting trees, clearing trees up at Hoyden's on a final cut for all the trail systems, you know, for the winter. Pro after this, and probably next month we're gonna start flail cutting the port range up with DPW. Usually it takes about 2 weeks to do that.
Are we still doing the vinyl stuff?
Yeah, we have it over on Dalewood Avenue. It seems to be working good, and we still have it at Lake Mohegan. Nothing's grown through the vinyl at Lake Mohegan, but it has grown around it. Japanese knotweed grew through at Dalewood.
Really?
Yeah, in a couple of spots.
Yeah.
All in all, the guys went out there and they hedge trimmed it down. They walked on top of the tarps. They hooked up a rope to the truck in the street and they're down there and walking on it. So they mushed it down. So.
Excellent. Commissioners, any questions?
No, I see the work.
Yeah.
And I know what's going on, so.
Excellent. Tim, anything that you'd like to add in addition?
The only thing I have left that I thought of just because it's been happening this week is maybe tomorrow, working with CT Trail Finder, we'll be launching our own homepages for Brentwoods, Lake Mohegan, and Grace. Those are the maps we generated as part of the digital mapping. This is on a separate website other than Avenza. But we are also close and have submitted in the process of submitting the final drafts of our shape files for the Avenza mapping. But CT Trail Finder will launch maybe even before the weekend. So those spaces will fill a huge gap in the state where there's no other trails mapped from, you know, basically like Reading to Bridgeport and further north. So that'll be nice to have some presence on that website. And that's working with staff at UConn who's hosting and managing that site. And that was through a connection Ted brought to me and has made that connection working with. So Emily and her crew has been working out really well and again, should be launching maybe even tomorrow.
That's nice. That's awesome.
Great, awesome.
That really is, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Silly question, is it also gonna be on the town's conservation website? Is it like a link or something that we can, or?
Yeah, what I'll do is once it's launched, I'll have links on our homepage. And maybe create a new tab, or just have it added to the trail section under open space. But what'll happen is if you go to the CT Trail Finder map, which shows you the entire state, as you zoom in, arrows, little flags pop up. You could click on those locations. It brings you to kind of a mini homepage and provides you with pictures, trail map services like, does it have bathrooms? Is the travel, are the trails steep? What's the parking like?
Yeah.
Every kind of detail.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be really nice. And then on those homepage, mini homepages, is where we'll link people to Avenza as well. So they'll have the opportunity to download the app through that link and navigate the trail system through Avenza. So.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments about that?
I'll have to change my QR code. I was the one that made a QR code for the current map and posted it in several places in Brentwood, so when you get it all done, I'll make a new one. Did you see that? I'm
I was
guilty.
there yesterday. I did see him on the sign on the Gilbert side and the Reading Road side of North Street, but yeah, that's fine. We could take those down. Actually, as I was standing there,
Fairfield's Banksy?
There's a man conservation crew.
I think we-
They are, and I'm
I think we're from the guy who was putting up the dog
I
sign.
was standing there, Peter.
Who's that? I don't know.
There was a
No, I got nothing on that. I took pictures. I don't know what that's about. What is that about?
Oh, I got 30 signs in my truck.
You're kidding? That you've taken down? I don't wanna change the topic, but I mean,
sorry.
That up at Grace?
Yeah, that was at Grace. Somebody was hanging aluminum signs on all the trees.
What'd they say?
Dogs this way, dogs that way, dogs this way.
They're nice signs. I was like, what's going on?
I am, they're for sale, they're in my truck. We need pizza for the crew tomorrow.
I thought that was missing something. And
We can tell Rick we have a prize for our conservation winners.
These white arrows drawn in several of the open spaces that are kind of hard to figure out. Mine at least were legitimate. It went to the
Is
town.
the insinuation that dogs are allowed to go one way but not?
I don't know.
The other?
I have no idea.
Like in
what
Devil's
the
Den
design
where
is
they-
behind those signs, but I have them.
That's weird.
It's weird.
That took a lot of effort.
A lot of weird things go
Aluminum?
on in Grace Richardson.
No comment.
All right, thanks,
Let me know, baby.
thanks, Tim and Tom. Commissioners, anything further?
Yes, they've announced the date of the public hearing around the P O C D, which is gonna be in October. I think it's the 15th. 16th. Tim's gonna have a paragraph talking about conservation to put into the P O C D.
I'll
As,
have that for you tomorrow, Ted.
hey, all right, it's just a subtle way of reminding.
Just in time.
End the public hearing, I advise you do so. If you've got anything that you want represented, let me know. I will be there and I will not be shy with respect to pushing our agenda. Not sure how much I'll be able to get through, but they have been responsive. It's really been a pretty good process.
Yeah.
But the public hearing is coming up and the more people who show up, the better our chances of being heard. Or having pickleball courts put in all the open spaces, so.
And
be
Tim,
careful.
Tim, we can put that on the website too for, to remind people to come to that for the P O C D.
Yeah, I'm
Good idea.
happy to. I could get some language from TPZ and post that and circulate it.
Excellent.
And I'll post it on Insta for Pond Leader Pathway.
All right, anything further under other commissioners? Going once?
We're going after the rats, that's going.
All right, folks, thank you. That's a wrap.
Speaking of which.
Thank you.